we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Point where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're focused on the Star Trek original series episode, The Empath. And we have, oh my lol, Than, have you done? They don't say their names on
They
the
don't
screen,
get,
but
yeah,
yeah,
but
but that's
those
funny
are the
that
names.
it's so Ruben here is on the actual set of this episode apparently, right?
Yeah, I'm live here on the set. They let me in. They still have it standing up. It's amazing. I mean, it's so intricate that I'm surprised it's still around. You know, it's a
Right
work
on,
of art.
right.
It's a work of art, really.
It actually, I think it is. So we'll see. We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
that a little
they're
more.
actually going to rebuild the set from this episode up at Ticonderoga. That's their next project, I
I
think.
kind of wish that would happen. I would love to
They had to do
frolic
the easy
around on
stuff,
this set.
like the Enterprise interiors first before they could work their way up to this.
Yeah. Oh,
I
budget,
actually would love to
It's
frolic
picked up
around
from-
wearing like a flowy veil, cape, and tights, and I would love to like do the movement. I did a little performative dance last night on Starfleet Boy After Dark.
They tried to recreate this set on the Disney volume system, but it just was too much for it to handle.
The Unreal Engine couldn't process the graphics.
Dang, you
Yeah.
guys are so
That
hardcore.
pure black was just like impossible. Super high detail. So, it's easy to make fun of this episode for that.
Well, some of us appreciate the abstract
I love the sets,
nature of
yeah.
it. Yeah, it's really good. So we also have our Dadmiral here, and by the way, guys, you just a little reminder that Ian is known as Dadmiral_UK now. If you're already following him on Twitter, it'll just update. But you can also find him as Dadmiral UK on YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's unfortunately on Instagram it's Dadmiral__UK.
Oh, okay.
And on Twitter and Twitter and YouTube it's Dadmiral_UK.
Okay, excellent.
I am
Perfect.
currently migrating all the videos over from the Trek Cat one, which is no
So let's
more.
get it.
Well, we will
Everyone
be
get
no
him
more.
back
But
up to his-
there is a
Oh, sorry, the delay.
Sorry.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say there is an announcement on there to say that I am closing down that account. So there's a announcement to say I'm closing, and then there is another one to say welcome. Welcome to my new channel.
Excellent. So yeah, everyone go check that out. We'll do some more promos at the end, but you guys know Fathery from Tech Trek, and the sub commander is decloaked here today from Twitter. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Adam, can I implore you to give the episode summary because I don't want the haters to get.
I would love to give the episode summary. Yeah. I understand why people don't like this episode, or some people don't. But I'll just preface it by saying I have very vivid memories. This is probably the earliest Star Trek memory I have is this episode. I got into Star Trek when I was about 12 or 13, around there, but I had always been aware of it because my dad watched it when I was a kid. And I remember him watching this show with this really almost painful kind of music, this weird, spooky set, the guys with the big brains and the silver robes, and Kirk running in slow motion towards the screen, and the graphic wounds appearing on this beautiful young woman onto Mccoy. When you're like 4 or 5 years old, that just sunk in, and that this episode has stayed with me ever since. So even though there's plenty to criticize about the episode, it always has a special place for me. So that said, episode summary. So we're in Enterprise is in the Minaran system, I think it's called, and they're there to evacuate some scientists because the sun is going to nova. They always find these systems where the sun is going to nova. That's a common theme. And Kirk, Spock, McCoy beam down, but the scientists are not there, and looks like they've disappeared. And in fact, that's what happens to Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. And they wake up on this very dark stage 10 at Paramount, where you can't really see anything, and they're walking around and encounter that's it. That's exactly how it looked. They encounter another humanoid there, who doesn't seem to be able to communicate in a traditional way, but has some other powers of communication they'll find out about. they name her Jem, or McCoy does, because it feels like she needs a name.
It's better than Hey You.
It's better than Hey You. And just as we're all getting to know each other, these the Telosians' dumber cousins appear, sort of the hillbilly version of the Telosians, perhaps show up, and they've got some hidden purpose that's not clear, but they do some experimenting on or collecting some information about Jem, trapping our heroes behind a force field. Then they disappear. So our heroes don't know the way out, but they're trying to find the way out, and they encounter the lab of the Vians, and they find Link and Ozaba, I think are their names, the two missing scientists, pinned up like butterflies in a specimen cage. And then they realize that, they're going to be next because their names are on the next tubes. Then the Vians return, and it looks like our crew is able to escape with Jem, but this has all been allowed to happen by the Vians, where we still don't know what they want. They seem to get back to the surface, and you see Scotty in a landing party, but it's all an illusion, of course, and they get recaptured and brought back down. And that's kind of when the fun begins. Kirk has a tough choice to make because they want to experiment on the Vians, on one of his crew members, either Spock, who has a high chance of going insane, or McCoy has a high chance of getting dreadfully injured. So McCoy, in a nice scene for him, in fact, this was DeForest Kelly's favorite episode, he said, was able to use his trusty hypo and take out Spock and Kirk, and he volunteers to be the sacrificial victim here for the torture sequence. So I guess they actually start with Kirk, but anyway, they ultimately it's McCoy who's getting the brunt of it, and
Right.
It's revealed through this grisly process that they're trying to instill in Jem the same feelings of self-sacrifice and loyalty that our crew portray. And the heroes realize this, and they're in a position to escape, but McCoy's injuries are so bad they're not able to heal him. So what's happening is Jem is trying to heal him, but she doesn't quite go far enough to give up her life. And the Vians think momentarily, well, her planet is not worth saving. That's what they're looking to do, is to save the planet. If the inhabitants can show this level of empathy or this level of compassion. But Kirk, in a quick speech, manages to convince them that she's shown enough, and he delivers that one line about you're unable to experience the emotions you brought Jem here to experience, or something like that.
Yeah, like
and,
that they've lost their they've like really lost their way. They don't understand that like just even the act of wanting to sacrifice yourself is enough. Which Spock points out, I think. Yeah,
exactly. So then that's enough for them to change their minds. And one thing Lal can do that I doubt Meg Wiley, as the keeper Telosian, could do, is actually lift down and pick up Jem, although that actress is probably pretty light. And then they float away in a little tiny blip, and our crew goes back to the ship, and there's a little capper with I think a quotation from Matthew or something like that, which never totally understood that parable, but it seems like a nice ending, and we zoom away. And I guess presumably Jem's planet is saved by the Vians. So
one
there you
hopes. There you go. That's a really good summary. So what'd you all think of this episode? Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
All right.
And you can say bad stuff about it. I mean, it's not I mean, I just have a sentimental...
I'm only giggling because I heard a little bit of this last night, so that's the only reason I'm like...
I've always been, very bored with this episode. I think there's a lot of episodes in season 3 that do, they kind of run out of steam halfway through or so, and they really feel like they just drag and take forever to end, like that new Batman movie that just came out. And this is definitely like one of those. And I love the original series, and I think there's a lot of good episodes in season 3, despite it being the weakest of the 3 seasons. But yeah, there are just like scenes in this episode where like I constantly am getting lost, like, oh, what's going on now, like what, like it's just really, really hard to pay attention to. And I don't feel that way about like a ton of like old TOS Star Trek. So it's one of the hard, like I never skip it. I don't skip episodes when I do rewatches, but I'm like, oh yeah, now I gotta watch like the one with like the Kmart Telosians and the woman who just like never speaks the whole episode. And
Did you know that this episode didn't air they skipped it in the UK until like 1994 or something like that? Like
And they didn't replay it in reruns in the summer.
yeah, it's really
Well,
weird how that's, I don't
I don't
understand
feel like
what
anyone
was...
really missed out on much.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is a standalone episode. Like it doesn't, like, well, a lot,
Well,
like a lot
they
of
all
TOS.
were.
Yeah,
They all,
were,
every one
yeah,
of them
yeah.
was, except for the Menagerie
yeah.
Part 1 and Part 2. Like, other than that, yeah, you can skip any of them.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 3 episodes they didn't show in the UK. This and Plato's Stepchildren, and maybe those were the only 2. And then, of course, Patterns of Force they didn't show in Germany for a long time. But yeah, it was because of the torture sequences was the stated reason. But yeah, I guess you said 94. I don't know when. That seems pretty late to me. But yeah, I guess they weren't in the rotation over there for a while. Ian would know better than either any of us.
They were available. They were available on VHS, DVD,
Sure.
and everything else. So for me, I always remember it. But yeah, I must admit, I don't remember it ever being on TV.
You got in sync somehow, and your
Yeah.
voice sounds so buttery and nice. So that's awesome.
Buttery.
Ian, what'd you
With
think
my
of this
slight
episode?
lisp.
What'd you think of this episode?
I don't think it's as bad as everybody else is saying. Yeah, it's done with a very tight budget, with as Ruben's showing, with the dark sets or anything. But I don't know. I quite like it. It's I don't get bored with it. I've watched it twice today,
Wow.
and both times I enjoyed it because I watched it with the remastered, then I watched it with the original.
Oh, was there any difference in the
Especially-
effects? Because there's I guess the supernova.
the only difference is the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
rest of
planet.
it is exactly the planet. The rest is exactly the same. So there is no difference, even with like the transporter.
I read on Memory Alpha
white
that
out.
that's like a snippet of the Medusan effect, the transporter, the Vian
the-
transporter.
Oh, the barrier thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
it's-
watched
yeah, there,
it.
there is no difference.
I watched the episode last week on the copies I have on a hard drive, which are the pre-remastered, and then I watched it today on Paramount Plus with the remaster. So it was interesting to see just the tiny difference. It was like probably one of the least touched episodes.
What
I
are
mean,
your thoughts on the episode, Ruben?
I'm in the fathery camp. This episode is. I want to like it because I love minimalist theatrical episodes. You know, I love Plato's Stepchildren. I love Adonais. I love things like that. But it's just like when I was watching it today, I actually marked down at about this 16th minute. That's pretty much where all threat level peaks. Like they're gonna kill Kirk, or they're not. Or they're gonna kill them, or they're not gonna kill them. That's pretty much it. And for the rest of the episode, it's interesting, but at the same time, it's really not interesting. It's a really weird episode. It reminded me of the TNG one where Picard gets kidnapped and put in that room with the
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like
the
the
three
minimalist,
people and one of
yeah,
them's an actual
yeah.
alien.
Alien girl and
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that.
hell, I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
Like, if
the guy with
somebody
the
were to
fangs
ask
coming
me,
up. Yeah.
like, show me a Star Trek episode that'll get me into Star Trek, I would not.
That's
Oh,
fair.
that's a fair
No, this
thing
is- this-
about
that's
this
fair.
episode. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
This is a
it just doesn't work. It tries, but it doesn't work for me anyway.
excellent. For me, I really remember not like caring too much about this episode or not really, like noting it much, but I do remember my dad liked it for some reason. And I think it was probably the atmospherics and like even though the music plays a little too much on repeat, like I do like that na na na,
Well,
like
that's
that
good
kind of,
because you hear it about 47 times throughout the course of the episode.
yeah.
thought
I
it
do
was
think
just
they went a
one
little
time that
far.
never ends.
Yeah, it never ends. It's true. But we
I listen
even
to
with-
that in the car sometimes. I enjoy that. But go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know if like all these years later, it's because I've seen so many like ballets and like so many like like weird
Art house,
productions and
whatever,
art house things that like I have a different appreciation for it now, and I really enjoy it as like this like as exactly that, one of the weirdest episodes of Star Trek, because it truly is. There's not like, they're definitely derivative with the Telosian, like the Vians are definitely derivative of the Telosians in many ways. That was a great analogy, Father, about the Kmart Telosians, or I guess what else?
That makeup, by the way, that they're reusing makeup from an episode of The Outer Limits.
Well, interestingly, the director did a similar thing for that episode, Nightmare something. I forget what it was called, like Nightmare
It's
Fire
just
or
called
something like that.
Nightmare,
Oh,
yeah.
just Nightmare.
John Erman. Yeah.
Yeah, John Erman. They hired him because he did that episode, and so they wanted that same kind of style for this. So I haven't seen that Outer Limits episode, but yeah, I'm curious to how maybe they even got the same like set pieces and stuff
You
like
should
that.
totally watch it. I haven't seen all the Outer Limits. I mean, sorry to interrupt. If you
No,
go on.
please.
Well,
carry on.
no, I was just going to say. I mean, I haven't seen a lot, but that one I really enjoyed that one too. I mean, actually, it's a lot better than the Empath.
That
The plot
episode?
and the story, but it's a very very similar feel. I mean, I just really enjoy these kind of. I mean, this is not a very Star Trekky episode, other than the fact that it shows the loyalty between our main characters. But I enjoy this kind of like image bath that it is. I mean, you're right; it doesn't make a ton of sense. Like even at the climax when Kirk convinces the Vian, it sort of kind of falls a little flatter. Like, what exactly happened? Did she pass the test? Did she not pass the test? It's a little
Right, like,
confusing.
it is a little
But
up in the
I
air.
just I love letting those minimal sets kind of wash over me. I mean, I think the makeup, as gruesome as it is really effective. And just there's something, I don't know, it's just on the one side of the line of being tolerable or intolerable, the music, where it's like kind of too over the top, or just like, oh, it's really creating a sort of emotional reaction in me. But yeah, it's not a very Star Trekky episode. And the whole idea of, a test by a superior race, I mean, that we've done that quite a few times, but
Yeah.
I just like it, and it's
Same.
different. I mean, I like how flexible Star Trek was in terms of its format. You could just do all kinds of different things.
Yeah, and that's the thing is,
The
like,
thing
I
is,
give
we
it
can
a lot
safely
of.
say,
I
we
give
can
it a
say
lot
the
of
only thing we
credit.
safely say is she got, at least Jem didn't get probed by the aliens.
By the aliens.
Do you
anyway.
know what else I read on Memory Alpha was that the effects for her at the end with McCoy, that took 8 hours to film,
I
and they
bet.
strapped her onto a table while they did the makeup effects and stop motion. I'm like, holy shiitake mushrooms! Like that's
Yeah,
like
she couldn't move. She had
she could move for 8 hours. Can you
Yeah.
imagine like sitting on this thing for 8 hours? It's
That
like
showbiz.
Remember that next time someone says acting is easy.
yeah, no way, man. Like that's wild. Like to me, but it doesn't look as good as morphing is today. But I can imagine being like,
Oh, but back then, yeah.
back then being like, wow, that's crazy how they, how they did that. Like, the other thing I really like about this episode is just what you were just saying is like the relationship between Bones, Kirk, and McCoy. You really see it there, and I think that for me, I don't know if you guys see this or have this take as well, but for me, it's interesting when McCoy does the thing with the hypo and knocks them out, and Spock's like so shocked. He's like, "That's so unethical."
Your action
And
is highly unethical.
Yeah, highly
Yeah.
unethical. But I think he uses that as justification later on to mind meld with McCoy in Star Trek 2 and pass on his Contra, like where he knocks McCoy out, and he's like, not this time. And I wonder if like that's like a little nod to this, right?
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
not this time, McCoy. Like same kind of
Yeah.
vibe or whatever.
Remember that
like,
time 14 years ago?
yeah, when you hypo sprayed
I haven't
me?
forgotten.
I haven't forgotten it, and here you go. This is the.
You do have to
your-
give the
your
episode a little bit of credit too, even though it seems like it's easy to do a whole episode on a set like that. Actually, lighting that set, if you think about it, is a pain in the ass because you don't ever really see the background.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like they're in a void, and so but they
Yeah,
still have
yeah.
lights, and they have the bed and all that other stuff well lit. They're blocking and moving around, so it's actually a pain in the butt to do that right. It is cheap, obviously, but it's just a lot of technical work.
It's a
and
different
time.
challenge, right?
Yeah,
like
it's a different
challenge.
kind of expensive.
There is some interesting set dressing, like that. There, like the laboratory equipment and stuff like that. I don't know why the bed that she's laying on when they find her, it looks like a giant agonizer from
Agonizer.
Mirror Mirror. It's like the
Yeah.
exact
Yeah.
same shape and colors.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
true.
I don't
It's
know
true,
why they
'cause-
chose to do that either. I mean, it was definitely a choice. I don't think that's random.
I
But,
mean, yeah, right. And you think that was maybe to say, hey, if you recall that agonizer, she's kind of living in this agony in a sense,
agony, yeah.
I don't know if maybe it was they're kind of creating a language within their own
Yeah, it
show.
seems it's so unusual for them to have that kind of, I don't know, make those kind of connections. But yeah, I always thought that. Well, I didn't even notice that until like last year. Someone online
Yeah.
pointed it out to me. I'm like, whoa, you're right. This is a giant agonizer.
Could
Yeah.
it have just been as simple as, hey, we got this thing, put this thing on it, and it looks different. Call
Yeah.
it a day.
Let's talk about Jem a little bit. I thought she was interesting, and so was her species.
She's truly
The-
outrageous. Ooh, Jem.
No one else is the same. Jem is her name.
The
I thought
misfit
about
version of,
tweeting.
"We are the misfits."
I thought about tweeting a GIF with Jem, like from the cartoon in it, and
Yeah.
saying like it's better than saying "Hey you," but I don't know if that would have been too specific.
That's a pretty niche reference.
So Jem is played by actor Catherine Hayes, who let me click on her real quick. Come
She's
on,
in a soap opera or something for a
Yeah,
long
I feel
time,
like-
I think, right?
Was it which soap opera was it? It was
remember.
As the World Turns.
Okay.
She's basically doing silent movie acting, where you have to kind of exaggerate your body language.
Which again,
Exactly.
a
Was she
lot
a-
of people
was
find
she a-
off-putting, but I liked it.
Was she a dancer? Because to
I was
me,
gonna say she must have some
She walked like a
dancing-
ballet dancer.
She must have some dancing training because she seemed to like have it like she seemed to have that poise and that grace about her.
Yeah.
You know, and I do think she was using the correct steps. Hold on, sorry guys, I have to cough. Starfleet Boy,
The
hear that.
beauties of live entertainment.
live
Yeah.
entertainment.
Super loud.
But yeah,
It
I
happens
thought
sometimes.
the way she walked, then everything else, you know, and the way she was dressed, she just walked like a ballet dancer. But I mean, I did find it quite funny that she didn't have anything on her feet when she's inside. When they get outside, all of a sudden she's got heels,
The-
and then
I didn't notice
and then
that.
she goes back inside. There's no heels again, and she's just like in the tights and everything.
That's
so,
really interesting.
Programmable matter. It
It
can
is.
adjust back and forth.
That's right.
I love that explanation for it. Yeah, you never know. That's probably they could have been an advanced civilization, but they talk about her civilization having evolved without any vocal cords and stuff, and I thought that was interesting. And like, I thought it was an interesting choice to show her communication through her body language, like the way that they did it. But I do wish they had gone further. Like I do wish they had gone a little further with that. Like I really was enjoying it. And I wanted that's one of my I guess critiques is that I wanted more of Jem trying to communicate. You know, like maybe using a form of sign language that's like, you know, not quite like American Sign Language or Universal Sign Language, but more like a made up type of sign language might have been neat.
Yeah, or just something where she has like a little more, what's the word, agency, you know, rather than like stuff happening about her or to her or around her. She's a little more kind of making the action happen. But
Yeah, I
that might have
agree.
been nice.
What do you guys think of her like species? And Kirk makes a reference to another civilization that's like that too. So it's like they've
Yeah.
encountered like, you know, what did you guys think overall of Jem and her species and all that stuff?
I
think
mean,
the only-
you don't
the only
really
thing that I do
get
remember-
much. Go ahead, Ian.
No, sorry, I was going to. But the only thing that I wish they'd played a bit more with Jem, it was that bit where she touched Spock, because it just seemed to be that recognition, or there was just that everything was okay in that point, and maybe they could have used that a bit more. At least it's better than Troy going and he feels in pain and he seems upset. At least with that bit, it just
Kind of wish Troy had
she
no
seemed to
vocal
do-
cords sometimes.
yeah. She seemed to do more with not saying anything than
Yeah.
Deanna Troy did through 7 seasons of TNG, because they didn't utilize her correctly in TNG. So I felt in that episode that they did utilize her really, you know, with the movement and even with just subtle looks. I thought it was quite good.
I feel like I was very touched when she shed a tear for McCoy when he was being taken away by the Vians. Like that was a really good moment as well.
She's good when she has to be sad and cry.
Yeah, those big eyes, those big like eyes of hers are.
They just show her a clip of the episode, and she's like, "What have I done?"
Now.
I didn't know this, but Cake is pointing out that John Delancey was in Days of Our Lives for
Okay.
years. By the way, Cake is Eternal. Last night on Star Flipper After Dark, we talked about the Is It a Cake TV series on Netflix. I wonder if you have any interest in checking that out, or if you have any opinions about it. Do y'all do y'all know about Is It Cake?
I know more about it than I ever cared to know at this point. I wish I could go back in time a few hours to before last night.
They should do. Someone should do Gem on a bed and see if it's cake or not. Is it cake or not?
I always thought Jem was kind of, a little weird as a kid. Or I mean, it was just hard to. But I think she does a good job of seeming sort of alien-like with, no makeup or any. Just this, as you guys have pointed out, just the movements and just being elfin and kind of like unusual. She does a good job of that, and it's nice for there to be a woman guest star.
Yeah, sprightly is the word I was thinking of too.
Yeah, or pixie-like, or sprite-like, but she's not someone's romantic interest, right? She's at least she's not getting sucked into that kind of subplot, which happens a lot in TOS. So, so I thought that was interesting, that was different.
Amy, I think
I'm actually surprised she wasn't pregnant because she held Kirk's hand. So,
Amy is asking, is her species the seed for Beta Zeds? And I don't think so, because Beta Zeds are telepathic. Deanna is empathic because she's half human. So she doesn't
Betazoids, right?
Betazoids is it? I was
Betazoid.
Beta Betazoid. Yeah.
There might have been some. Gene Roddenberry might have been thinking about. Oh yeah, remember when we tried to have like that that empath episode? Let's do like an empath like on the ship, and then give her 4 boobs. And then Dorothy Fontana had to be like, "No, Gene, like you're taking it too far. Calm down.
Settle down, Gene."
He wanted 4. I thought it was 3.
I think it might have been 3. I think he might have wanted to outdo Total Recall. Because he was also like, "Oh yeah, they have this woman Vasquez on Aliens, like this tough Latina woman. Like we're gonna have her as our chief of security." Because originally, when they hired Marina Sirtis, she was going to be the chief of security, and she was going to be a Latina character. And then they switched her and Denise Crosby and made Crosby the security, and Denise Crosby, blonde woman. They're like, oh, like no, we'll just change her to be Russian and call her Tasha Yar.
Yeah,
and she had that amazing Russian accent.
Everyone in the future just has a standard accent, a standard.
Well, she grew up on the rape gang colony world, yeah. So which was
Total Recall came out
top, but
4 years, I think, after TNG. So I think, or 3 years. So after TNG started, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but
you're right,
I'm hoping
right. So
now that Gene did get to see it before he passed away.
That's good.
I was like, damn it!
Yeah, because he didn't die till 91.
Wait, did Star Trek 5 come out after
indications?
Gene passed away?
No, five would have been
89.
Yeah.
So then he
June
saw
of
his
89.
dream come true on
yeah,
screen.
they were shooting 5
That's
and
right, 'cause
season 2 at the same time.
But you're referring to the cat lady.
The cat lady, yeah.
Who's got the,
That might have been in his notes, in his creative consultant notes. But apparently, like, he hated it. I mean, who can blame him? But apparently, like, he really hated what they were doing with Star Trek 5.
Yeah.
He didn't like Cybok.
I feel like this episode for me is just like Star Trek 5. I didn't really like it when I was a kid, but I love Star Trek 5 now. It's like it's not one of, I mean, they're all my favorites, but it's not too far below any of the other ones. Like if I'm forced to rank, I put Star Trek 5 usually at the bottom, I think. Do I, or do I put, where do I put? I have to
I put
re-rank
Generations at the bottom.
Really? Oh, I love
Yeah.
Well, you know that I love Generations. But anyways,
What, the
The
worst Star
Insurrection
Trek
is
movie?
second to the bottom.
The worst Star Trek movie? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
yeah, like if you have to like rank them, but I thought
Darkness.
I think Into Darkness, yeah, that's what I put at the bottom too. Now that I think about it, although it has some good moments, I thought she was working with the aliens for most of the episode. Yeah, it was unclear. There was a
interesting.
little bit of a mystery for me as well. First time rewatching it since I was a kid, but yeah.
Well, it was unclear what the aliens were after because initially they were like, don't interfere, but then it's clear, no, we need you to interfere. We want you to be part of this whole thing we got going. And that is, I don't know whether that was just something it was a little subtle or it wasn't very clean in the script or whatever. But yeah, I think the episode is not super doesn't have a straight line through it, for sure. But anyway, that's not why I like it. I mean, I just like the imagery and the sounds and all that kind of stuff.
The episode was written by Joyce Muscat,
Right.
and she was one of 4 people in the original series that got their. It was an unsolicited script, so it was a script sent in by a fan, and so they actually liked it and made it. So that's kind
Yeah,
of
it's her
interesting.
only credit. It's her only
yeah.
TV credit.
Oh,
I knew
didn't
they did
realize
that on
that.
TNG.
I didn't know that
yeah.
happened.
Yeah, I thought that was like a TNG thing.
Yeah,
I
she
didn't
was like
realize
a
that
journalist.
happened.
Not just
something.
TNG, DS9 and Voyager also had
Right.
like the open submissions policy.
Submissions. Yeah.
Don't
When I,
you cannot call that whole era the TNG era.
that's what
I will
it is.
push back on that
Okay,
every
fine.
time.
The Berman era, or is that what's
Is
that?
it? Is
Well,
that
they
acceptable
dropped it.
to
They
you?
dropped it for Enterprise, so it didn't go for the entire Bourbon era. The reason why they got rid of it is because it led to like a lot of legal disputes where people were like, "You did this episode that's so similar to an episode I submitted to you," and
Yeah,
eventually, you know.
it's just not worth the hassle of dealing with those.
But a lot of great stories came out of that.
Our cousins Artelosian says, "How can you be an empath but have no compassion? Maybe she wasn't an empath till the end. I'm confused." So, perhaps that's a really good question. A bad empath. Well, she did have to learn. I feel like she had to. I feel like the she was an empath in the literal sense. Like
I can go
ahead,
explain
yeah.
this.
Go ahead.
Empathy and empathicness are 2 different things. Like empathy is yes, when you relate and you can be sympathetic and compassionate, and empathic is just like you're just aware, you can just detect whatever it is,
Like you
the
can
other
feel
person's
it in
feeling.
a sense.
So
Yeah,
there is
but
a
you might not
distinction.
understand it, right? You may not understand what you're feeling, but you can feel it. But also, I was thinking in the sense that
empathetic and empathic are like 2
Right.
slightly different things.
I thought she was.
I think
her-
McCoy actually explains that though, doesn't he? Because he says that about her whole system having the ability to feel.
That's where I was
those
going to. Is that it
those
was
parts.
her physical ability to absorb your. Oh, look at that! It's Amos is on screen. How cute. Okay, I gotta put you full screen. Hold on a second. Look
Yeah,
at.
he
Oh
was
wait.
being bad. He kept like barking at the door. His mom's not home right now, so he just
Aw.
barks
Oh,
at
he
any...
could totally cosplay that dog from The Enemy Within. You know, if you got like the horn and like a little shaggy something.
Yeah.
The Space Spaniel.
So cute.
I was thinking it too. Like there was that Voyager episode of those people who they didn't have like bad thoughts, but then Alana gets mad and all of a sudden they get like high on bad thoughts or whatever. I was thinking like something like that too, where maybe it's for her the empathy is sort of like meals. It's not really a question of compassion or non-compassion. It's just something her body takes in and.
I felt that her empathic abilities were less about feelings and more about absorbing your body state, like being able to take your pain away or injuries away, and then absorb them and then heal them. Maybe she definitely had like a higher healing factor than we did because she was able to recover pretty quickly from Captain Kirk's injuries that she absorbed or empathed or whatever,
Yeah.
so like
That's interesting. I mean, it's literal in the sense that, I mean, if you think of what a feeling is or what an emotion is, it's some physical state in your body at that moment. And if you're someone else, maybe you can kind of feel compassion or feel a sense of you understand it, but unless you're actually experiencing the same physical phenomenon, you're not really feeling it. But it's more with Jem, it was more like her system, even to the point of having wounds or injuries, would replicate or duplicate the physical system of the other being as a form of empathy. I mean, that's kind of neat.
But it is.
I think that's what she did well because, if you know that your body is going to react that way, like when you touch somebody where they're badly injured, they've got internal injuries, and if you're going to touch them, that you are going to extract that from them, and it's going to be your body. You are going to feel that reticence to actually to touch them to go forward. There's always going to be a part of you think, well, do I really want to put myself through that? And I know they were saying, she needs to learn how to to have that within there. But still, even the most empathic people that have, the most people with empathy, I think they would still truly struggle to touch that person, to take all that. I mean, the only people that I would say that would probably do that with actually no second thought would be parents.
Right
Because
on.
they would, if it was their child, they would immediately want to take that pain away and take it away from them. But if it's a total stranger, I think that's where you would have that internal battle. And I think she portrayed that really quite well, without saying a word.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, like, it is interesting that the Vians were so bent on her showing self-sacrifice, and when they were seeing, they weren't seeing how much she was sacrificing. Perhaps she was on the verge of death. She was trying also to McCoy wouldn't have it. So it is interesting. We have, I think the lesson from that for the Vians hopefully is that, like, self-preservation is a strong instinct, and that's why people survive a lot of times. Like 9 times out of 10, it's your instinct of preservation that, like, gets you out of situations. But yeah, there are times where if you have a choice, you will try your best to make sure that someone else, lives or whatever, if you can, like, I'm not sure I would help everyone, but personally, I might have gotten more jaded as I got older. I'm not Jem's age. I'm not a new empath here. I've been.
Can you pull up Miss Nelson's comment on that in the live chat?
How many times have you said, "I wish I could take your pain"? This episode answers that question and shows us what that might look like. Great sci-fi concept. Yeah, I agree.
Totally.
Very good.
I wish I could meet Jem and she could do some work on my Achilles tendon and my left knee right now. I need the pain out of those things right away, but get back out there. But
hold on, here we go. Yeah. Let me just do a little Jem dance. Ow, my
it still hurts.
I so wish Jem could take the arthritis out of my knees. That would be so good. Have that taken away completely.
Yeah.
Why would Jem, our cousins or television says, did Jem extract any sustenance from others' experiences? If not, then why would they evolve that ability? I was saying.
I don't think it's what's the question of the compassion. I don't think it's compassion or not compassion for her. She probably, if you think about it, what if her body, her people, now I'm getting super headcanon here, but here you go. So I love this stuff.
I do love this stuff.
If you think about it, maybe her people don't produce, let's say, white blood cells, right? But they need it. So when they take pain from someone else, your wounds are causing an influx of white blood cells. Now she can take that from you and get her own white blood cells. So
the implication
a very bad
was,
example, but I think I get my points gets across.
Well, the Vians were trying to get her to have these experiences because the implication was that, dead or alive, when they took her back to her planet, her fellow empaths would then absorb the same information and it would evolve them all. So in a way, perhaps that is how they evolve, like is through these, like, empathic experiences. That's interesting.
Yeah, because there's no other way to communicate it.
Yeah, kind of like, I guess now I'm thinking of it almost like Borg, where she's this sort of Borg that goes back and then they all suck on her or whatever they do their little interpretive dance.
I don't know. Do you want to?
And then they learn what she learned. They sort of download her.
That's how they learn, is through actual experience, like through physical manifestation of experience.
Strange New Worlds. There's another one. There's another episode to look at, and it could be massaged into something.
Just I hope that Nami Malama doesn't do a repetitive soundtrack for 40 minutes where it's just the same thing over and over. No, I do like listening to this track, by the way.
I think she's gonna have a little bit more. It's a little bit more dynamic. Music on Strange New Worlds.
100% agree with that. I think it's gonna be a really epic soundtrack.
I can't even hit those high notes.
But while our sub-commander is cloaked, what did you guys think of the Vians? I know we've been calling them the second-rate Telosians, but what did you think about them? They're like, there's like several systems on this planet, and I guess they just get to decide that the empaths are the ones that might have a chance of being saved. I wonder if there were other vines on the other doing experiments of a similar kind. Like it is interesting. They only had the ability to save one of these planets, but I wish I knew more about the vines. Like how are they invested in this in the first place? Like why are like did they make that clear? Was the planet they're on, was that the Vine planet, or like what's the deal?
They're very generic Star Trek aliens. They're just like, oh yes, we are the wise ancient ones, and we're here to do whatever whatever like big choices we need to make. And I don't know, they it felt like at this point very derivative of things we'd seen previous, like going all the way back to the Teleusians. Just from a visual point of view with the big head and then like the silver gown that they're wearing, but also like. A lot of those like overseer type aliens that like are in Arena or
Metrons or the
Metrons
Melkotians. There's the big aliens testing you.
Yeah.
Damn, it's a lot.
I do like at the end that Kirk actually turned it round on them, because he said, "Well, you've just become you've become so intellectual that you've forgotten yourself how to feel."
Yeah,
and I think that was the one line that I did like, that Kirk, he just said, "Well, what about yourself? You've been wanting her to sacrifice herself, have that feeling of self-sacrifice, and take the pain and help heal other people, but you yourselves have gone past that point where you've just forgotten even to have empathy." And have those feelings towards another race yourself. So I thought that was quite good, turning the tables on them.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of neat that they had gotten to a place where they were, on the one hand, consistently sort of complimenting the Starfleet, characters for all the great sort of moral, upstanding virtues, but then McCoy could die. Well, his death's not important. On the one hand, they weren't feeling any of the actual emotions. But yeah, that was. I mean, it happened too quick, but it was. I think a good message.
They're jaded. They're envious of this younger species. Still feeling those emotions.
There's two other Philosians out there somewhere with another gem, and they just have her pressing buttons for cubes of cheese.
Well, building on top of what Ian was just pointing out, I think that's always kind of been the core value of Star Trek is compassion plus intellect will win the day. I think every Star Trek show on some level has to embrace that, and the original series does it probably the most clearly and efficiently, where you have Kirk in between, cold, hard data, logical Spock, scientific mind. Just the here's the facts, here's the information, here's all the intellectual side of thing. And then on the other side of Kirk, you have Dr. McCoy, who, he's like the bleeding heart compassion guy. And, by using both those aspects of yourself, that's how you are able to find, the best course of action and make the universe a better place for the people in it. And yeah, you kind of have that on display here, with Kirk reminding these people like, you have that intellect side, but you've lost, the heart. And, that's the thing that you're trying to test here. And, who are you to judge? And
I wonder if
Kirk beating yet another computer.
Yeah, that's unemotional aliens and computers can't beat Kirk. Yeah, that's what Joel is saying as well. I wonder if the Vians were like, his death is unimportant because it literally was unimportant. Like they could bring him back to life with a touch of a button. Like maybe
I don't think they really cared. I don't think they cared at all. They just thought it was just a percentage that they would just write off. I don't think it was a case if they would bring him back.
Now that I think of it, they did have a cruelty to them because, that's clearly a challenge. Like the way they were talking to Kirk, it was clearly to kind of play at his emotions a little when they were like, well, okay, we could take Dr. McCoy, but he's going to probably die. And we could take Spock, but he'll probably be brain damaged. So you could, or would you want to be you get to pick captain. So go ahead. Like, they're like, why would you do that? Like, so yeah, I don't think there is Yeah,
There's always something
yeah,
very
it's
creepy about the specificity
yeah.
of those numbers. I mean, the
Yeah.
87% whatever dying and 93% brain damage, or
brain damage.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I think
yeah.
it's the phrase I was actually looking for before was acceptable losses. I think that's the way they were thinking that, McCoy dying and the other two previous to the three were just to them acceptable losses.
Yeah, their heart was in the right place, but they were going around it the wrong way. Our cousins are television say the villains don't. The Vians, I almost called them the villains, but they are. The Vines don't care about others, but require others to care about others. Frack these guys. Yeah, that's why they needed that little Kirk moment at the end to like really, because they were in this loop of like, this doesn't seem to be working, but they were missing the point. So yeah, I guess that's the end of it there. Very cool discussion. Any other thoughts before we wrap it up, guys?
No, but I get the feeling we're finally not going to get out a 10 out of you this week.
It's
like the
close,
idea.
though. I give it an 8. I really liked it. Like again, definitely talking with you guys. Like I think I might have had a higher rating in mind at the beginning of the episode, but I might have lowered it a notch because the episode definitely does have some flaws and it's not as complete as I would have liked it. But I have to say it's a way better than I remembered it being, and I can see why folks like my dad and one of my good friends really appreciates it. The atmosphere and the overall sci-fi concept, and just like the Catherine Hayes' performance really touched me. Like again, maybe I've just seen too many of these avant-garde plays over the years, and I just love that kind of stuff. But yeah, that whole vibe of it was like pretty good, and I think like Ruben said, there's like opportunities to maybe update and rework this in another Star Trek show, or give it another go in a different context or something like that. But overall, yeah, I think it's much better than I remembered it. So yeah, I definitely want to give this episode an 8.
Well,
Are we giving ratings now?
Are we doing ratings? Yeah.
You asked for final thoughts and then you gave your ratings.
I
so
gave
I'm
a
not
final
really
thought
sure.
as well as a rating. So yeah, I just threw
Okay.
my rating in because Ian prompted me, so that's why.
Don't blame
yeah,
me.
go ahead.
Don't...
Yeah, go ahead and give your final thoughts and a rating, and throw in a rating if you choose. I think you were gonna go Sub Commander.
Yeah, I don't really have much in the way I've talked a lot about this. I will say it was an interesting idea to have a force field that sort of responds to the amount of energy you're putting into it, or your own kind of, the idea that you have to be totally passive and then it disappears. That was kind of neat.
Spock
but-
figuring that out was a cool moment. Yeah, it was very.
Well, they told them what
Yeah.
what the deal was. I mean, the Vines told them, the more you struggle, the more you're stronger it gets. I mean, I recognize as a Star Trek episode, this has a lot of problems. I'd probably, I guess, give it a 5 or a 6, but I will always watch this one when it comes on. It always has a special place for me, and I enjoy it quite a bit. So, last thoughts for me.
Right on, Fathery.
I was gonna compliment something that I liked in the episode, and that is the research lab at the beginning. I like that world building. I like seeing like the larger aspects of the Federation that we don't always get to see a ton of. So, oh look, there's like the civilian research lab here on this planet, and you go underground. There's the spiral staircase, and these two dudes were just hanging out. You get the impression like they work together. They know each other when they're kind of clowning around, talking about like the earthquake and the wrath of God and whatever. And they show you just enough of them that like when you see them dead later, you're like, oh yeah, like that sucks. Those are like two like real people. Like I kind of like I know who they are. Like that you asshole aliens. Why did you kill them? So that's actually
We
probably
didn't kill them. Their own fears killed them.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
But you know what else? When they go down below, when Spock mentions the creatures that look like inanimate objects but then come
Those
to life,
bats,
like
yeah,
the
right.
bats. Yeah, I thought that was also interesting in world buildery, and also
they mentioned that planet again somewhere.
Somewhere?
That planet,
Okay.
yeah, began with the M.
Right.
I know that gets brought up again
Oh, cool.
in another show. I don't know if it was maybe the bats did, but
something. Yeah, it sounded familiar, but I didn't know if it was just because
Yeah.
we've heard so many weird things like that. But yeah,
All
they
right.
did like do that kind of stuff on it. But anyways, carry on, Father.
But I guess I would rank the episode two dead scientists out of McCoy's hypo spray attack.
I like that. I love those ratings. What about you, Ruben?
Yeah, the episode's the episode. It's TOS, so it'll forever be in my heart. I don't care. All these episodes are amazing. So it's hard for me to really hate on any of them. Looking at it from a script kind of structure, writing point of view, yeah, it's not very well done. But I don't know. I just, again, it's that kind of nostalgic connection I have to TOS. It'll never go away. So it's hard for me to really hate the episode. I do love the sets. I love the concepts behind it. It was really well thought out, like a great idea to build something on. But they were running out of money. They were running out of time. They did what they did. They did what they could, and so it was entertaining enough. I give the episode.
I was originally gonna do this episode all quiet, like not speaking, and see how long I can pull that off. But so yeah, it's very good. By the way, I did go through a period of my life for almost, I think, 3 to 4 months where I didn't speak. I don't know if Ruben remembers that.
It was bliss.
Dang. When I was a young man, I walked around with a piece of paper and I tried to communicate without words, and it worked. It was a good experiment. I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to. It's hard to get permission though from people. You have to always carry something around to say, I'm not mute. I actually can speak, but I'm just doing this on purpose. And then people are look at you. It's like, no, wow.
Found it. I found the other reference to that planet.
Oh, what was it?
I had to look it up, but remember in this most recent season of Discovery when Bryce talks about the time he was kite surfing, and they used that to escape the anomaly when they're investigating the DMA. That was on the planet of Maynarch 4, where these sand bats are from.
Oh, look at that! Nice, Disco.
Yeah.
Good job, Disco. Ian, final thoughts and rating.
Minox from Star Wars.
Sounds like Minox. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Except that it wouldn't be from Star Wars. Star Wars would have copied it from TOS. So
the bats that
I mean,
live
it
in
just sounds
Star Wars copied a lot of stuff from TOS.
TOS, yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I think Bosk in The Empire Strikes Back was like, "Hey, we're gonna do a Gorn on like a big movie budget and show like how much better we can make it look than that TV show."
It's a good point. It's a good point. I am actually gonna after this episode, I'm gonna go and try to find a costume for my. I've been trying to do the Borg Queen. It's not gonna work out. All the helmets that look good cost like $300.
Just buy some uniforms off of eBay and call it a day.
Well, it won't be enough time for me to get it before the convention, I don't think, like with deliveries. So there's a huge place here called Casa de los Trucos, or House of Tricks, which I saw online. They do have some Star Trek inventory, so I'm going to go check it out in person and see if I can find something. Yeah.
Send pictures of what's in the store.
Oh, I definitely will. Yeah, it's a good idea. Ian, tell us your final thoughts and any rating.
First of all, I think you need to collaborate with Ruben because Ruben comes out with a fantastic costume.
He's such a good. It's true. He's very good at cosplay.
Yeah, I mean the guys have pretty much said I enjoyed this episode. It's not the best. I will never profess to say it's one of the best of Star Trek. And like we said earlier, it's not one of those ones people say offer out is if I'm just starting on Star Trek, which episode should I watch? You're never going to put this on that list. I still enjoy it. There are elements of it that I like. I do like Gem, and I as I said, what the rest of the guys said is all valid. I will give it 5.8 out of 10.
I guess I still skew higher than all you guys, but hey, whatever. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me again for a TOS discussion. What's next week?
Next week is Elaine of Troyes, and then the week after that there won't be anything because we'll be at Star Trek Mission Chicago. Yep. But assuming you don't miss another week, which I doubt you'll, just crazy things in life will happen. But if you don't miss another week, we would start the animated series because there's only 12 TOS left. We're halfway through season 3. So that would put the animated series as starting the week of 4th of July, like the 4th of July weekend, and then that would conclude in November, and we would start Voyager Thanksgiving weekend.
Wow.
So we're almost done with Kirk and Spock.
Wow.
Only a few months left.
Oh, I'm gonna cherish
Voyager's
these,
after the animated series.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing Voyager and then saving Voyager, then Enterprise, and saving Deep Space Nine for last. So you have to wait like 8
It's a
years.
multi-year,
You have to wait like 4.
commitment.
If you're looking for DS9, you have to wait for 4 years. No, there's a whole bunch of people lobbying me to do DS9 next, so it might actually have to be DS9, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
The entire project will be 14 years total.
14 years total is this project. I've got six down, man.
Yeah,
It's
almost
not bad,
halfway
yeah.
there.
Yeah, so like it's not so bad. It's true. But yeah, I mean, Voyager would be fun because it's really relevant right now since there's a lot of Voyager references and stuff. So we'll see what we do. But yeah,
Jill's excited for Voyager. I thought you'd already decided that.
I did, and then I got lobbied. So like people are lobbying. People actually like lobby me. It's kind of fun. I like it. I like the attention. Hey guys, what's going on in your respective channels or social media outlets? Why don't you go first, Sub Commander?
Well, tonight it's Squire of Gothos for TOS Saturday night. I haven't seen that one in a while, so I'm going to tune in for that. I don't know what's on the MeTV Star Trek at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. The TOS Saturday night is at midnight Eastern Time. But yeah, not much else going on. A couple tweets about Easter eggs today that started some discussion. Yeah, no, you can find me on Twitter at SubCommanderT or my little parody account, which is at Mr. Leslie TOS.
Yes, very cool. What about you, Ruben? What's going on in your universe?
Check me out on our Martian on Twitter, where you'll get links to my interviews, like with Damon Hillen, the producer of The Long Night, a horror movie that just came out, and other interviews with film and TV people, a lot of composers, and more coming.
Excellent. Ian, what's going on over on Dadmiral_UK?
At the moment, as I said, you can catch me on Twitter and Instagram, whereas Instagram is Dadmiral__UK. On the YouTube side, I'm currently migrating the videos over from the old TCCC channel. Once that's migrated, my first video, which I'm in the progress of doing, is a review of the Blue Bricks Enterprise NCC 1701A, which you can just see.
Oh, you
here.
just finished it. Here, let me put you on
It's
full
finished.
screen
It's
here.
there, done. So it's
Oh, look at that.
this one
Very
here.
cool.
next to my little Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmet. It's that tiny you can hardly
Is that
see
the
it.
USS Bozeman or the Reliant on the left?
It's the Reliant.
Oh,
I
very
did
cool.
have.
It's a
I
good
did have a bit.
putting them together like that.
I did have a bigger Enterprise with that, so it was like the Battle of the Mutara Nebula.
Right.
I had there. So yeah, I'm doing that one. I've got another 2 Blue Bricks ones, but they will be purely reviews because the Enterprise is nearly as big as the Mega Blocks one here, which is 2,500 pieces, and the Enterprise D is just under 2,000. So I will be doing those. Will be purely reviews because you actually with these ones, you actually do get a booklet to build. So you do get stuff like this in there, which I'll do. And then I will be doing I'll be going back to doing some build videos as well. So that's what will be happening in the future. But as I said, I'm just currently migrating everything over.
Super. Father, what's going on over at Text Trek?
Well, you can catch Text Trek live every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central when we do our live podcast discussing whatever the new episode of Star Trek is. So right now we're going through Picard every week with our patented deep dive analysis. You can also listen to that show wherever you get your podcast. And when we're done with Picard, we'll be doing Strange New Worlds. And then sometime this summer, we'll be revisiting Deep Space Nine again, picking up where we left off. And we're also going to be covering, the animateds Prodigy and Lower Decks later in the year. So be sure to check that out. And just to remind everyone, in 2 weeks we'll be at Star Trek Mission Chicago. We're going to be having a meetup Saturday,
At the
April
Arc Bar.
9th. Yeah, Saturday,
Yeah.
April 9th, around like 7:30 after the convention at Arc Bar. That's ARC Bar. It's like right next door to the convention, so you can find us there. It's going to be you, me, and Trek on the Tube.
And Braxton.
And Braxton. So
And anyone else who joins us. So
yeah, anyone
come
who
and
wants
join
to
us
come up, say
if
hi
you're
to
gonna be at
us, hang out
STLV,
with
yeah.
us. If
Daniel,
not STLV, if you're going to be at Star Trek Mission Chicago.
yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry. And then Daniel CEO, who's in the audience, I hope you're still there. We hope to meet you there, but if you can't meet that day, because I saw you gave some dates, we'll figure out something because I definitely want to meet you too. But unfortunately, I don't think we can go to your barbecue because it'll be during the day. But we'll talk. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Lots of fun people in Chicago to meet. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Did you already say that your podcast comes out on Monday, Fathery?
Yeah, it's available to listen to early Monday morning. If you're going on your commute to work Monday, it should be available to listen to. So we're very expedient. We get the YouTube show out on Fridays, and then the podcast is there late Sunday night, so you can listen to it Monday morning.
The fastest and the deepest dive in Star Trek that you
We
can
go fast
get right
and
now.
deep.
Yep, that you can get right now. It's true. Check out Starfleet Boy. We do a new thing. We're experimenting with Twitter Spaces. I don't know if you all have ever checked it out, but that's on Thursday nights. We just do kind of like a reaction/discussion of the latest and greatest Star Trek. Currently, it's Star Trek Picard. So it was Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Discovery for a while, which was wild. But I'm so glad we're just down to one episode of Star Trek right now. Although I think, if I'm not mistaken, the season finale of Picard and the series premiere of Strange New Worlds will be also on the same day, right?
On Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo, that's right. So that'll be another doubleheader, but only one episode.
I'm having
yeah.
a Tex-Mex watch party in my house.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
I'm gonna cook fajitas and drink some Dos Equis and some margaritas.
On First Contact Day, I'm gonna cook a nice salmon fillet and watch the motion picture, which is gonna be released for streaming of the director's cut on 4K. So I'm excited about that too. So yeah, I love food and little parties and occasions to celebrate Star Trek at the same time. But yeah, Cinco de Mayo is a fun one too. Then on Fridays we have Starfleet Boy After Dark, which follows Tex Trek, and now Marcelo's in the mix. Our friend Marcelo, who's on Balloon Head Productions, he started his 14-year
He's doing the
journey.
same thing you're doing, but just starting
yeah.
a few years later.
And he's doing personal reviews, so video reviews of his thoughts on the episodes. And he's starting with TOS, and he already put out his video for The Cage, so go check it out if you haven't already. But yeah, he's on a 14-year mission as well.
For him, he's gonna do the current shows.
Oh yeah, so it's actually longer.
So
he's doing an
it's-
18-year mission, I think.
It's gonna take him 16 years to catch up to the amount of Star Trek that exists now. But then he'll have, whatever comes out in the next 16 years, he'll have that to cover.
Oh shit. It's never end. He's never gonna end his project. At least at some point I'll be current, which is nice. Like we'll
Yeah, in 8 years you'll be caught up on every
yeah,
episode.
exactly. So
Well,
that'll be cool.
it depends on how many weeks you take off.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone's entitled to a little vacation here and there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But anyway, it will be 47 years.
47 years. That's a hot minute. I mean,
Actually, Jill's lost some time because she was asking when we've doing Omega Glory. We did that ages
that
ago.
one,
that was
yeah.
season 2. That was
Yeah, that's
season
right.
2.
Go check out our discussion of that.
the cons and the Yings and Captain Tracy.
Yeah.
And then of course these
That was one of the
discussions-
ones I was like in the truck when I
Yes,
was,
that's
like,
right.
in the shuttlecraft.
You were, weren't you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that's
Yeah,
right.
I remember that.
And then of course these discussions happen on Ruben. You look great in that lighting, by the way. There's like so moody. It looks like a little bit like Annie Leibovitz is lighting you, or something like that. It's like-
What he's trying to say is he can hardly see you, so that's
Thank you. Good
It makes it
job.
look like it's nighttime. Like it's 4 in the afternoon in Florida right now.
That's true.
Looks like he's about to go to bed or something.
And then tomorrow we have the Starfleet Boy discussion of Star Trek Picard. I hope to be joined by Braxton and possibly Trek on the Tube, who's in a really grumpy mood about Star Trek Picard, so who knows what he'll say. We'll see.
You're saying about that, because I know he was saying about Guinan. David Mack, the author, put a really, really good string of tweets about why Guinan wouldn't recognise Picard.
Yeah.
So
is
I
true.
did retweet it. So if you've not seen it, have a look for David Mack, and it's about 6-7 tweets long. Have a read of it, because it is a really good, interesting read on why Guinan doesn't recognise Picard. So,
Right. Okay. And by the way, anyone on this panel who's seen it is welcome tomorrow as well. I know Fathery already does a discussion, so you might not want to talk about it 5 times. But if you want to, Father, you're always welcome. And Ian, you're welcome as well. Ruben.
Thank you.
No, I'm just kidding. You're also welcome. I'll just hold my tongue a little more.
Tonight
You're gonna watch it all tonight. I would appreciate it. That's what I would actually appreciate. But we know the sub commander stays in Realms original.
Well,
So,
I work
but-
tomorrow anyways.
Very good. I think that just about covers it. Audience, thank you so much for tuning in. We love your comments. Please don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to all these wonderful folks. And we'll see you next week. Live long and